One of the earliest, actually, probably my earliest memory of cars was my father outrunning the police. My dad, as a young man, raced out at Spanaway Speedway. His nickname was Bondo Ben. Even at that time, as a kid, I just loved the sound of a Chevy 350 screaming. So. And I think that started why I wanted to work on cars. I learned to weld and fabricate and do all the things that you would need to do to race a race car. And that was my ultimate goal in life, was to race cars. Yeah, that's where it started from.
When we first got married, he was racing, and that's crazy to me.
I think there was 15 races that year, and I think I had 13 fast qualifying times, 2 track records, 4 wins. But I was a top 3 contender through the years that I raced. There was a season I was the guy to beat.
Raced right up until our son was born.
We just had our first child, and my wife, she was going grocery shopping, and I said, well, honey, just make sure you be careful because I've got to buy tires this week. And I remember when I said that, I thought, this is probably not a good thing. And so at that point, I told my wife, I said, I think it's time I sell the race car.
It was hard to watch him step away from that. It was hard for him.
The future of our life was becoming more important, medical, pension, all that kind of stuff. So I went to work for a heavy equipment operation in a gravel pit, and I thought, what the heck did I do to myself? It was really hard. You know, I was gone by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't show up until 11, and so I missed a lot of my kids' early starts of life. At this point, we'd had 2 children. My wife was pretty much like a stay-at-home single mom. I was getting to a pretty unhealthy mental state.
When he said he wanted to step out and start his own business, I wasn't surprised. I didn't like the timing, but I could have seen it coming. He was not meant for what he was doing at that time.
I mean, we don't have no savings. We don't have anything. We're working paycheck to paycheck, man. We were a single income family.
But he had an ability to step out in faith in areas that I would be very terrified of.
And peace came over me that just said, well, I can turn a wrench. I can always make a living doing something in this area, and I have a garage at home. And that's when the verse, Matthew 6:26, the birds don't reap or they don't sow, and look how well he takes care of them, and then, you know, how much better will he take care of you. That moment set the precedence of what would come, to where we are today. So March 1st, what a day. I remember opening up the door, and I just felt a freedom and a release. Like, I was like, this is crazy, you know. So that was the garage that I started out my business in right there. Ike's Auto Repair started in that house, and ultimately it went to the other shop within the first year. And that little white door was the entrance to my shop right there. I rented that back half of this building. I was here for 10 years.
You know, when I started there was really just one tech, Ike and I. And so it was a small thing that we were all a part of what felt like the beginning of something. We knew that there was something bigger that could happen.
I started out with Ike at Ike's Auto Repair when he had probably a 1-bay shop, very small, in behind a car dealership. And he grew there, and then he purchased Autotech, and I followed him over.
Years ago, I met a man named Leon Martin.
Well, I'm Leon Martin, previous owner of Autotech Services. My father started this business in 1951, and I followed a lot of the same teachings that he followed, never to put money ahead of people. And with that motto and that, I'm going to call it the internal drive, it was very successful for everybody that helped me.
He's the shop that I held the bar to, you know, and this was the scale. I mean, he just did everything so great. The first time I met him was when a customer had work done at his shop, and the customer was just unhappy with the fact that they had paid for a repair and it wasn't fixed. And I said, well, okay. I said, well, I'll take a look at it. And ultimately, once I got in there, I had found an O-ring had rolled and pinched, and it's a simple mistake. And I had called Leon and just had shared, you know, hey, I've got a customer of yours up here. And he said, well, just get it fixed and send me the bill. And I was mind blown by that. No questions asked. He was glad that I took care of it for his customer, and I was happy to tell the customer that, hey, I called down there and this is what had done. And they went ahead and took care of it, and I didn't charge the customer anything. And that customer was kind of probably mind blown too. The difference between amateurs and professionals is how we handle our mistakes. And, I thought that was very professional. From that point on, I got to learn a lot from him.
We were just friends for years, even though we both did the same kind of work. We're 3 miles apart.
Our relationship grew over the years, so we would send cars his way and vice versa. Sometimes if they were closed on vacation, and I'm like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Just the simple fact that they would trust that we would be a shop that would handle their customer.
And one day he called me and said, hey, Leon, I'd like to build onto my shop. Would you come out here and help me and give me some advice? I said, absolutely.
We're looking around, and for about 10 minutes, we entertained this idea of what we could do on this facility. And then he throws at me, he says, well, what about if you want to just buy our shop?
I felt comfortable offering it to Ike because I felt he would do the same thing I wanted done. And history has proven that to be true.
That's what we did. And so in October of 2019, I closed down Ike's Auto Repair.
That transition between ownership of Ike's Auto Repair and Autotech, it's a story about 2 separate shops in a community that could have been in competition with each other, saying, hey, we all want to be successful in serving our community's needs by fixing their cars.
My name's Randy LeDuc. I'm the past proprietor here. I think that was 1989 that we redid this place into an auto repair shop, and I operated that until 2020. I known that Ike had been talking about expanding, and I've known him through the Automotive Service Association.
He jokingly handed over his keys as we were talking one day with Leon and I and him, and that kind of set the ball. It wasn't the first time Randy had done that, but this time there was something different. And so we ended up buying LeDuc's Auto Center, so now we have 2 stores.
That allowed me the opportunity to sit back and relax after 52 years in the industry, and Ike took over and did a really nice job of improving the shop over what I even had, and I've been very pleased with that.
The story of Autotech, it's really this great story of where those walls of competition got broken down and partnership within the whole community came together.
The bottom line is service, never to put money ahead of people.
Integrity and quality.
We're very fair. We're going to be very thorough, reliable, consistent.
The customer comes first. Take care of the customer and they'll come back.
People think in the auto industry it's just about fixing that car. But there's a human being on the other side of that counter, and there's a human being coming in. You take care of the person the right way, the rest will come. And it's not always about how much revenue, profit, etc. you can bring in.
You may have changed from Ike's Auto to Autotech, but you're still Ike. You're still going to run a good business. You're still going to make sure I'm happy. You're still going to do a great job. And I'm going to have my vehicle serviced worry-free,
Take your cars to Autotech. Ike's got it all.
This car was something I had found when my dad had passed away. When we went to clean his home and take care of his stuff, this was something I just thought, it's a representation of my dad. When he was, so he's been gone for a few years, 6 years, I think. And my dad was a body man. He worked miracles on cars a lot. And so that's where I kind of cut my teeth in the cars. I really became passionate about them at a very young age because that's what my dad did. So when I found this car, I could not bring myself to get rid of this.
He is a completely different man than I married 25 years ago, that is for sure. I think he's a great leader. He believes always learning and growing is important as a business owner and as a husband, as a family person. I'm super proud of him for what he has created for all of us.